Welcome to this video guide on how to paint a wild bear. In this video, I will show you a range of techniques like dry brushing, base coating, fine detail, and washes. In your pack, you should have the following: a bear model, a 60mm oval base, a shade brush, a fluffy brush, a detail brush, a paperclip, some paints, and a number key with QR codes to both this video guide and a PDF version. Some materials you may need but are not included in your pack: superglue, kitchen roll, a cup of water, and a hairdryer. I also recommend taking a look at some reference images before you start, so you have an idea of how you want it to look. There are some reference images in the PDF, but you are of course welcome to find some of your own. The model included in this pack was created by Yellow Day Miniatures. This model is under a commercial use no derivative license and permits commercial use as long as the creator is credited. You can find the link to the model and license in the description of this video. Your model should be pre-primed black. If you have sourced your own model for this, you will need to prime the model with a black spray paint primer. For the fur, we are going to be doing lots of dry brushing. You will need your fluffy brush for this. You can prepare your brush by lightly wiping it on a damp area of kitchen roll. You don't want it to be too wet, just enough that it softens the bristles to improve application. With your German black brown, pick up the world's tiniest amount on your brush and start to gently scrub the paint off onto your kitchen roll. You want just enough left on the brush so that it becomes faded and dusty on the kitchen roll. Once you're at that stage, you can then start flicking your brush all over the model. Use medium to light pressure, as going too hard runs the risk of making your dry brushing look rough and chalky. Next, we are dry brushing all over the model with dark rust. Again, taking a small amount with your fluffy brush, scrubbing it off, and flicking all over the model. Just from those two colours, you should already start to see it turning brown, especially on the edges of the fur. After that, we are dry brushing all over the model with Chestnut brown, making sure to pay close attention to the tops of the ears, the centre of the back, the tail, and starting to build up coverage towards the tummy and legs. I recommend looking at reference pictures of bears to get an idea where the tone of the fur changes across the body. Moving on to the next step, we are dry brushing with Grunge brown. Here we are focusing on the sides of the model, moving down towards the tummy and starting to lighten the areas around the face. As you get lighter with your colours, try to also lighten the pressure, so that the effect maintains its softness and isn't too harsh. Afterwards, we are dry brushing with orange brown, increasing coverage lower down and closer to the face. The idea is that we are creating a gradient of dark to light, so that the back of the bear is more brown and the underside is more tan and light beige. Moving on to the tummy and face, we are dry brushing with beige red. Try going from where you want the colour to be strongest, flicking out to be softer and blend into the rest of the neck and body. Next, we are dry brushing the face and centre of the tummy with pale flesh. Again, using very light pressure and only focusing on areas that will be more of a cream colour. The very last step on the fur, we are dry brushing with silver grey, using as little pressure as you can and only focusing on areas where the light is going to hit the most on those paler areas. If you feel you have gone too heavy, you can repeat any of the previous steps to soften it down and build back up again. Try not to worry too much about it being perfect, as every fur pattern is different in real life. Once the fur is completed, we are going to be doing some finer detail. To protect yourself from back pain and shaky hands, I recommend using what I call the pyramid stance. Sit with your elbows on the table, parallel to your shoulders, and press your palms together. Hold the model in your non-dominant hand, and with the hand you're using your brush, use your pinky finger to anchor against the model. This 3-point system will keep the model at eye level and your back straight, so you don't have to bend over, and it will also prevent hand shaking, improving brush control. With your detail brush, we are going to be base coating the nose and claws with German black brown. To thin your paint appropriately, dunk your brush in some water. There should be just enough to cause a little droplet on the edge of your brush, and use this to create a little damp patch on your kitchen roll to keep the paint moist. You can then place a small amount of paint on your palette and start adding more droplets of water. Mix that in until you're happy with the consistency. If you need to double check, you can use the knuckle method. Paint the joint of your knuckle with your thinned paint and bend your finger. If the paint runs everywhere, it's too thin. If the paint splits and cracks, it's too thick. If it covers smoothly or doesn't crack or run, it's just right. Next, we're moving on to the eyes. I'm using orange brown to fill them in. This is where the pyramid stance is going to come in handy the most. Make sure to hold your brush at an angle and use as little pressure as possible. Lightly tap the area with the slope of your brush instead of going straight down with the tip. This gives less room for the bristles to bend and split in the wrong direction. Because there is more density in them as you go towards the ferrule, it results in more control and a neater line. I prefer to hold the model upside down for this, matching the same angle as my brush. Leave to dry completely before moving on to the next step, or you can use a hairdryer to speed things up. For the pupils of the eyes, you can either attempt to paint them yourself with the brush and some black, or you can use the paperclip provided as a dotting tool. To do this, simply unbend your paperclip, dunk in the black paint, and lightly dab onto the eye. Moving on to the mouth, start by painting the whole area with Old Rose. Don't worry about getting it onto the teeth as we will be going over that. If you use side-to-side motions, this will help you to not accidentally get any on the snout. Leave to dry completely before moving on to the next step, or use a hairdryer to speed things up. Once that's done, you can then do the teeth with silver grey. Try to use the same light tapping motions that we used with the eyes. Leave to dry completely before moving on to the next step, or use a hairdryer to speed things up. Next, we are then going to be using some Umber wash on the eyes, nose and mouth. What this does is it not only adds some definition, but it also provides a slight shine. Washes tend to dry satin to glossy, which can make things look wet and thus more lifelike in certain circumstances. If you went a little overboard with the wash, simply wait for it to dry or use a hairdryer to speed things up and go around the areas with your matte varnish to tidy things up. Now the painting is complete, you can then attach the model to the base provided with some superglue if you have some. If you would like to add some pizzazz to your base and don't know where to start, check out either the Muddy Base or Ashland's Base tutorial pack. I hope this tutorial was useful, and don't forget to check out my other products and work at blackrabbitcreative.co.uk.